So in today's episode, I want to take a closer look at what is going on here in the CPU space. More importantly, AMD and Intel both reported earnings recently, and they did share some information about how they see this ARM competition. So let's take a closer look in today's episode. All right, first, I do want to start off with just quick price action. AMD is doing amazing after their overall earnings. Stock is sitting at $113, sitting at a market cap of $183. Intel is actually doing pretty well for itself as well, sitting at $38.77 after earnings. We can see kind of nice pull up. The stock year to date is up over 45%.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
So let's start off with AMD. There was an analyst during the Q&A session that wanted to learn more about how AMD's management sees ARM-based CPUs, especially right since Apple has their M3 that they just recently announced. Qualcomm has the X Elite, the new chip, and it is rumored that Nvidia might be doing that as well. So they wanted to hear more of what AMD's management thought about this kind of competition. So before we go in there, I just kind of want to bring back what some of these recent updates have been. We saw about 2 weeks ago that Nvidia was to make ARM-based PC chips in a major new challenge to Intel. We still haven't heard confirmations about this. I do believe if this is true, we are not going to hear about it till later this year when Nvidia holds some kind of event. So that's the first one. The second one is Qualcomm. Qualcomm recently on October 24th announced the Snapdragon X Elite, which they mentioned is the new CPU king for the mobile laptop space. I've done plenty of videos of this one before, but we can see from here that they say that they are the fastest ARM competitor at the space. They compare the Qualcomm Orion to the M2 Max. They also say they are faster than the best x86, which was an Intel processor. So we can see Qualcomm is in this market as well. And like I mentioned in the intro, we also saw Apple release their new lineup of the M3 based on the 3nm process technology, the M3, the M3 Pro, and the M3 Max. So first I wanted to kind of learn a little bit of how big this ARM market is. And based on this report here that we saw on April 10th of 2023, ARM based, when we take a closer look in the notebook market, I personally don't see CPUs coming into the desktop market anytime soon. I do believe things like companies like Apple and Qualcomm are going to stay in the notebook space and maybe in the tablets to some extent. But in the notebook space, Intel and AMD at the current levels of April 10th of 2023, they had roughly 86% of the market. ARM only had roughly 14%. They do believe on this kind of research that ARM is expected to double their shipments and eventually reach 25% by 2027. So those are obviously interesting results. I think at the end of the day, the only thing that's going to matter is who provides the best results. We know that, hey, look, now AMD and Intel know that there is more competition in their space, so they're going to be even more innovative in their technology. So now I want to take a closer look at what AMD said, but before we go there, I just want to say thank you for the support. We just hit over 28,500. My goal is to hit 30,000 by the end of the year. So if you haven't, make sure to hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button. I also do have a weekly exclusive video for Semiconductor members. Click join to learn more. Special offer at fool.com/Jose. Free newsletter at josenaharo.substack.com, and free semiconductor news at semiconductorwatch.com. So now if we take a closer look at AMD and what Lisa Su kind of responded for this ARM-based competition, they said the following. Right now, as it relates to PC, x86 is still majority of volume in PC. And if you think about sort of the ecosystem, it's really run on x86 and Windows. So we can see that AMD does believe that right now, because a majority of the volume comes from the x86 market, that's where they're gonna really focus. They do mention what they're more excited about in the PC. It's actually the AI PC, not the ARM PC. And they believe that the AI PC opportunity is an opportunity that redefines what PCs are in terms of productivity tools and really sort of operating on sort of user data. So they are kind of really focusing on creating some form of CPU that includes some form of AI chip chip. We've seen them in the laptop market already. There's numerous kind of CPU chips that have AMD's AI Ryzen, which kind of implements an AI solution there. But they believe that this is where they should focus their true attention in at the moment. Regardless, though, for those that are not familiar, ARM is a partner of AMD. AMD has numerous FPGA products, and those FPGA products run on ARM-based cores. So right now, it does seem like AMD is really focused on x86. They do believe that the AI market is going to be the really strong growth driver right now, especially since x86 holds the majority in volume PCs. But if there ever is a shift, it does bode well that AMD does have some form of talent or form of engineers and form of experience working with ARM architecture. So Lisa Su just reiterates that she feels good about the next couple of years for the CPU market, mainly in the x86 space. Now, if we take a closer look at Intel, Intel also had some things to say. So there was a kind of a question talking again during the earnings call that, hey, look, there is a lot of talk about ARM competition and how do they see kind of this ARM and x86 landscape, right? And Intel was actually very blunt, very similar to AMD. So Pat mentions that, hey, look, ARM and Windows client alternatives have been there and they've been relegated to pretty insignificant roles in the PC business. Even though they take competition pretty strong, they do mention that, hey, what they really see is more of the AI market as well. So both AMD and Intel see kind of this ARM competition the same. I do believe when two players in this space see it the same way, it kind of showcases a little bit more. Sometimes if it was only one player, we might be saying, hey, look, they might be losing touch to the overall market. But I do believe both Pat and Lisa are very smart, and they do kind of really see this growth opportunity in the AI PC market, and they're really driving that with their own CPUs at the moment. Though Intel does have a little bit more to gain with ARM because Intel does have a foundry business. They mentioned, look, what a great opportunity for our foundry business. So Intel doesn't really see much of a threat from ARM-based CPUs at the moment. What they really see is more of an opportunity for their foundry business. And we kind of heard earlier on in April of 2023 that Intel Foundry and ARM announced a multi-generation collaboration on leading-edge system-on-chip design. So ARM and Intel already do have a technology, so a partnership. So when people are developing next generation of ARM CPUs or ARM products or ARM system on chips, they are going to have the ability to be able to build and manufacture those within Intel Foundry. So we do see that Intel is pretty excited about this. Now the final company is going to be Nvidia. We did see those reports, right, that Nvidia is expected to build chips for the PC market to kind of challenge Intel. Pretty interesting. We do know that Nvidia is not going to be a rookie to the CPU market. They recently released a CPU for the data center space, and it seems to be doing pretty good. I've talked about this in the past, but I do believe if Nvidia does enter in the CPU space for the consumer, they're really only going to focus in high-tier laptops meant for kind of high-tier gaming, for data centers, for data scientists, for machine learning, and for AI, right? So I do believe they're going to focus in that space opposed to where maybe some of the other competitors are really focusing on even entry-level laptops, which tend to have lower margins. So now the final thing I want to take a closer look at is PE forward 1 year ratio. We can see the most expensive is actually AMD. I mean, I liked AMD below $100. It is up over 13%, and now the PE ratio is over 30. I do believe I like this when the PE ratio is below 25. The next expensive is Nvidia at 27, followed by Apple at 25, or pretty much 26, right? Followed by Intel at 20, and then Qualcomm at 11.6. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Take care, have a good day, and see you next time.